So tonight is the work of a lot of different students in the program. And I want to talk a little bit about the different students you're going to meet and what makes, especially I think, these spring concerts so special in general, like honoring of our seniors, and that's a really emotional journey. We'll talk about that later. But I just want to talk a little bit about the students we have here in Livingston Royal Brigade. We really are celebrating what I truly believe is the best that Livingston ISD has to offer, are all students that are found in our program. We are lucky to have students that are varsity athletes in multiple different sports. We have students that have founded organizations and founded programs. We have students that have competed nationally. We have in other organizations, we have every club, sport, and anything that is probably offered at Livingston ISD, you're going to find a band kid in. And I think that is something that's to be celebrated, but what's so special about that in our organization, our family, is we all have these different interests and passions, but we get to come together for one common purpose, and that is to make music together every single day. And tonight is kind of like the ultimate culmination of all of this work and all this practice and all of this unity that we have together to perform for you tonight, and it's one last kind of rep and celebration for us to be able to play music. So thank you for being here for it, thank you for listening, thank you for kind of following along. You will see in our program tonight, do my sales pitch. If you look at the back of your program, you'll see a QR code. We are doing a merch sale right now. I've had some people ask if there's any questions on some like payment dates on anything. If we need to extend a couple days to send me an email, and that is possible. But we have that sale going, I think, until the 27th currently. The Band Boosters, which is the parent organization that kind of like helps support a lot of us, a lot of our other endeavors, a lot of things as far as food and support at trips and all these different things, receive $3 per item that is sold. So if you were looking to up on a new shirt, new jacket, new water bottle, new what have you, it's a great time to kind of get up on those. We haven't done one in a year or so. Aside from that, you'll also see your QR code for information on the Band Boosters too, if you are interested in joining that organization. We have meetings once a month, the second Monday, there we go, of every month in the high school band hall. We do all sorts of things as far as fundraising. We do things as far as planning logistics and fundraisers and events and anything that the program needs. So if you're ever looking to get involved, we are not always, it is not, oh, it's concession stands. Concession stands is a huge part of what we do, but there are so many things and so many different talents and experiences and connections that you guys as parents have that we can all collaborate together. So if you're ever wondering, like, well, I'm not good for this, there is something you can offer, something you can support. We look at. We have in front of you tonight is the symphonic band. It is composed of many of our students, many of our younger students. We also will see students who are doubling on secondary instruments. A lot of different movie music, some kind of different programmatic music. Tonight's first piece is going to be Aladdin. with movie music, students always ask, oh, Ms. Albert, can we play something new? Can we play, like, we don't want to play just concert band music or traditional band music. Like, I want to play something from Disney movies, I want to play something from Marvel movies, I want to play something from this movie, and we often find movie music is very difficult because it is not always made to be instrument friendly, it's made for the effects of whatever the movie is. So if you ever see your students' music tonight, especially on that one, there's lots of scary key signatures, there's lots of the notes that are uncommon on their instrument. They did a really good job of stepping up to the plate for some of them completely new adventures in note reading. And so they did a really fantastic job. There's also a lot of complicated rhythms that make sense when you sing them, but when you try to like subdivide and count them out, it can be a little bit confusing, especially when it doesn't perfectly match up with what's in your head from the movie. So they do a really good job with that one, and we appreciate their work and their efforts. We put all of this music together across both ensembles tonight. We have concert and sight reading, which took place at the beginning of March. And then we focused on the LRB showcase for a week or two. And then we kind of, these last 4 weeks, have jumped into this music. So sometimes we think, when you have a concert, it's like, oh, these students put all this time and all this work. Sometimes it is a very condensed, compact level amount of time, but a lot of work that goes into it. This next tune we have for you tonight is a piece called Once Upon a December from the movie Anastasia. Students have kind of got to go on an adventure, kind of talking about what programmatic music means, kind of on the theme for both ensembles as we've gone through the semester. Programmatic music is movie, sometimes it tells a story, sometimes it tells a very specific story, makes you think of something. And so this one is a little bit like a ballroom scene if any of you have seen the movie. I hope you can kind of visualize it along with us. So talking a little bit more about this ensemble, so the concept of Livingston having two fully fledged concert ensembles is a fairly new thing within my time here in the district. It's my 7th year. I think we started that my 2nd year here. So this is the 6th iteration of the Livingston Symphonic Band since we've had it. And this is only, I believe, the 3rd year that they've actually competed at concert and sight reading. And this is the 2nd year in a row that this group has received at least a superior rating either on stage or in the sight reading room. The last 2 years they have achieved superior ratings in the sight reading room. That is a big accomplishment for any non-varsity ensemble, but to receive it in sight reading specifically is an evaluation that tests their competency in reading music and their evaluation of their actual learning on their instruments. So it's a really big kudos to these kids and a lot of kind of the upwards momentum and leadership in this group that they've been able to achieve that. So I want to give one last congratulations to y'all on a fantastic competitive. You kind of know the system, at least most of you do now, where every other year we go on some sort of trip, be it an in-state trip, and then 2 years later we go on an out-of-state trip. When we were planning the in-state trip this year, we were going to Dallas, and I found that the composer Steve Reinecke was going to be a guest composer with the Dallas Symphony Orchestra. Steve Reinecke is a very famous pops composer in New York, but he also writes a lot of band music, and he comes from a very band-centered background. And so we decided, since we were going to go see him, I wanted both of the ensembles this year for the spring concert to play a piece he had written. He writes, as a pops conductor, he writes very kind of movie-sounding music. It's going to sound a little Star Wars, it might sound a little Lord of the Rings, and somewhere in between. So I gave the symphonic band, when we got to the end of first semester, I was like, all right, here are the options of the pieces you could pick. And we played, all these ones. I'm like, all right, this one is called Mountain of Dragons. Dragons! That's all they heard. They heard the word dragons, and they're like, we want that one, Miss Albert. And so this is Pilatus, Mountain of Dragons.
Yes.
Try to get in alphabetical order by last name as close as you can. On this ramp, everyone else have a seat. We're going to honor our seniors for a little bit, and then we'll carry on with Wyndham B's portion of tonight's program. Thank you for a little bit of patience as we get set up, and we'll get moving along.
Go back.